Finton, can you hear me?
By the Titan, Sarai! Yes, I can hear you.
Good. I finally found you.
You've come to rescue me, right? I swear, when we get out of here, I'm going to give that writer a piece of my mind. Well, Finton, good news and bad news. Good news is you can give me a piece of your mind right now. Bad news is you're not getting out of here until next month. You brought him here? To my infinite void? Sarai, how could you?
You two need to work out your differences. Everyone's tired of your bickering.
Listen, Finton, I know you don't agree with how I did things in the Order of the Pawn. Ha ha! That's one way of putting it. But you have to admit the arc we've set up is really special. And true Devine fans know you're not gone. Yes, I know that. I do have Discord, you know. I know. Listen, there's something I wanted to tell you. It's a spoiler, so come here, I'll whisper it to you. No. Bradley, are you quite serious? Sarai, is he quite serious?
He's quite serious.
I don't know what to say. Perhaps I have underestimated your writing abilities. Listen, Finton, if I'm going to drag you through the muck, the least I can do is make sure the trip is worth it. Right, but this is monumental. It will change Devine forever. It'll change me forever. I know, but I think it's the right choice. Yes, I do too. Oh, look at me now. I'm tearing up. This is your fault. Almost like I know what I'm doing, huh? Don't push your luck, Mr. Writer. What do you say we record this Devine special for the Saved as Draft podcast? What do you say, old friend? I say I like the sound of that.
What in the seven is a podcast?
I'll explain on the way, Sarai. Come on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Devine Challenge 2026, a Saved as Draft podcast special. In today's episode, Finton, Marybrook, and I will be taking a look at the top 10 stories submitted for this year's Devine Challenge as part of Flash Fiction February Day 5's prompt. If you're confused, allow me to explain. Devine is a fictional realm where science and technology collide in often catastrophic ways. This connected universe is tied together across multiple standalone stories and an ongoing series on the writer's journey, hosted by a bard named Finton Marybrook. Say hi, Finton. Greetings, everyone! So, Finton has become quite the favorite among my readers and Devine fans in the last year that I've been on Substack. To celebrate that, I decided to host a second Devine Challenge this year in parallel to the ongoing Flash Fiction February Challenge. Your prompt for Day 5 was to write a story set in Devine during the time when dragons were being hunted to extinction by the dwarves of the realm. Every single entry this year was incredible. I've always hoped Devine would one day become a shared universe, and with a turnout like this, it's clear that dream is becoming a reality. Now, with all that being said, I promised 3 winners for this challenge. First place will get their story narrated by Finton Marybrook himself, thereby making it an official part of Devine's canon and a Devine tale in its own right. This is the highest honor that I can bestow upon a fan of Devine. Second place will get to choose one of the characters from their story to have a cameo in the ongoing Devine series, The Order of the Pawn, or a cameo in a standalone story if they so choose. I will work with them to decide how and where this character will show up. Finally, third place's prize will be having the story become an official part of Devine canon. This means that the story may be referenced in future Devine tales or in the series as a nod to how they helped influence the history and the ongoing events in the realm. Now, as part of this special episode, I will be shouting out 7 other stories, including the top 3, so all in all, we'll be looking at the top 10 entries submitted to this side challenge. Finton, any thoughts before we get into it?
Yes, actually, could you explain all of that again? I wasn't listening.
We'll be back after a quick word from this week's very special sponsor. Today's episode of the Saved as Draft podcast is sponsored by Finton's Tiny Tales.
Hello there! My name is Finton Marybrook, the greatest storyteller in all of Devine. Now, you may be familiar with my stories, but I hear you asking, Finton, your stories are not suitable for my children. They're too scary. What am I to do? And yes, Devine's history can be rather dark and scary. That's why I'm pleased to announce a new line of Devine tales that offer smaller, cozier stories, inspired by true Devine events. Haha! Let's take a look at a first example. This story is called Balance for the Bakers. Once upon a time, an elven princess named Tamsin sought to obtain the recipe for guilt-free brownies and set out to find this closely guarded secret. Now, Tamsin was the best baker in all of Devine. There were those who wanted to see her fall. She soon discovered that the recipe was a trap. Those nasty competitors cursed Tamsin by splitting her into two people. One was named Tamsin G, and the other Tamsin E. Now Tamsin G kept all the good and cozy energy, while Tamsin E contained only darkness and despair. Each Tamsin quickly set up their own bake shops in Avondale Forest. Tamsin's goodies served wonderful pastries and treats and donuts that made you happy and compelled you to tell happy stories. Meanwhile, Tamsin's treats offered cookies that filled you with a desire to write dark, disturbing tales, the kind that give people nightmares. They both had an equal number of customers, so what were the people of Avondale to do? That's when a baker from the far west arrived. He hailed from beyond the Sunspire Mountains. His skin was covered in flour, and his hands were thick with dried dough. He was a silent wanderer. When he arrived, he gathered the people of Avondale and introduced himself.
My name is Daniel the Baker, he shouted. I am here to bring balance back between Tamsin G and Tamsin E in the only way that I know how. By baking.
And so, Daniel the Baker went to work baking enough treats to feed the entire town. His treats were perfectly balanced, a nice mixture of savory and sweet, the ideal blend of salt, sugar, and spices. When people ate them, they wanted to tell stories with heart, stories with highs and lows, stories that speak to the very soul. Daniel brought his baked goods to Tamsin G and Tamsin E. They were skeptical of this new competitor and tried them anyway. As soon as they did, the curse was broken. The two Tamsins rejoined, and together they realized that both of their stories are needed. They just had to work together. Daniel left soon after, for his work was finished. Before he left, though, he gave Tamsin a parting gift. The real recipe for guilt-free brownies. Turns out you just had to use dark chocolate. That way it's healthier. The end. This has been a presentation of Finton's Tiny Tales. Want to hear more bite-sized stories inspired by Devine's history? Let us know in the comments. And now, back to the show. All right, and we're back. For this special episode of the Saved as Draft podcast, I'll now be sharing the top 10 stories from this year's Devine Challenge. Now, we did have more than 10 entries, and they were all amazing, but I decided to cap this list at the top 10 so I can dedicate enough time to discuss each one in more detail. So, a huge thank you to everyone who submitted stories to my fictional world. It is really a dream come true to see how much everyone has been enjoying Devine. Would you agree, Finton? Oh yes, it's quite spectacular. Also, regardless of whether or not you made Bradley's list, just know that I think all of your stories are better than his, any day of the week. You know what, Finton? For once, I do agree with you. Good, because I'm right. Alright, well, let's talk about the scoring metric here before we get into our top 10. For this challenge, I was looking for 3 things. I wanted high-quality writing, a good use of Devine lore, and an attention to detail in terms of how your story fits into the broader universe without breaking canon. That last one is important, and it was a factor in the judging. So, without further delay, let's take a look at the top 10 stories from the Devine Challenge. We'll start at the bottom and work our way to the top so we can build suspense. And remember, the top 3 stories are eligible for the prizes I discussed at the top of the episode.
All right, let's get started with number 10. Coming in at 10th place, it's Letters to the Bard by the Circus Dragon. Now, I was very much hoping that Circus Dragon would join this challenge because her love of dragons meant that she would be a perfect fit for this prompt. And indeed, she offered up a beautiful story, written in the form of letters addressed to you, Finton. Did you ever get those, by the way?
Oh, yes, of course. I'm quite organized when it comes to my written correspondence. Circus Dragon's mention of Zaya here was also quite nice. Zaya gets very excited when she knows people are writing about her, as I'm sure you know.
A great one to start us off. Thank you, Circus Dragon, for that awesome entry. In 9th place, it's He Feared Anyway by Mike McClure, aka Every Root, Every Thorn. Now, this one was really cool. It introduced warrior monks to Devine, and in this story, we follow Zhao, a young boy who seeks to gain enlightenment about the nature of the world and the nature of dragons. It's a very reflective piece, and the concept is really unique. Finton, what'd you think of this one?
Oh, I actually spent some time with the warrior monks of Devine. Quite nice folk. They don't talk much, of course, but their wisdom is vast. They knew more about the Titans than I do, and I'm one of them.
Good stuff. Coming in at 8th place, it's Small Things by Jennifer Jorgensen. The premise of this piece was truly spectacular. It explains that dragons survived the extinction of around Devine by shape-shifting into the very things that hunted them, dwarves. Very cool concept.
Well, it's not really a concept. Shape-shifting magic is rare, but it's quite real. I will say that using it to turn into a dwarf is not something I had considered. Then again, I've definitely met dwarves that have a fiery personality like a dragon.
Fair enough, Finton. Jennifer always has the best concepts in her stories, and she really made me think here with this story that we're going to need some shape-shifting dragons in Devine at some point. So this is great. Fantastic work as always from Jennifer. At 7th place, it's Shards Over Scar by Connor Mancuso. So this was Connor's first foray into Devine, and I feel like he did a really great job of capturing key details about the lore. His style of epic poetry also works incredibly well in my universe here.
Excuse me, yes. Our universe. It's not like you created it or anything.
Finton, I did.
Oh, right, yes, no, absolutely.
Continue. I really loved how Connor made this story feel like a legend being recounted from a time long past. It was highly atmospheric, packed with memorable lines, and Connor, as usual, just brought his A-game, as with every entry he does this month of Flash Fiction February. So, really awesome, and honestly, extremely humbling, and an honor to have Connor participate in Devine. So thank you to Connor for submitting here. At 6th place, it's Mother Furnace by Rebecca Watson. This one was brief but powerful. Rebecca's command of emotion in her work is very impressive. She knows how to pull at your heartstrings.
Indeed, and that final line, I dare say, brought a tear to my eye.
Not the first time that's happened while reading these, I assume, Finton.
Oh, not at all.
This story also blurs the line between the past and the present, which is a nice touch. It's a warm and bittersweet tale that feels right at home in Devine, so truly excellent work here from Rebecca. Coming in at 5th place is The Memory Keepers by Mary Ellen Brady.
Now, hang on a moment, Bradley. Mary Ellen is in 5th place. Are you sure that's correct?
I know. Mary Ellen's story is amazing here, but the competition this year is insane. Wait, Finton, have you not read the top 3 yet?
Oh, I was saving them for when we get there. Want to give my true first impressions.
You ran out of time, didn't you?
No. I can time travel, Bradley.
Right. Well, Mary Ellen's story here immediately pulls from the lore with a mention of Khazra's Deep, and that soon leads to the discovery of a Memory Stone, which is a really nice addition to the realm. Speaking of cool additions, the talking door in this story was particularly awesome. It reminded me of the talking doors in the first Fable game, and that brought some serious nostalgia to this story for me.
Talking doors are quite something, in my experience. They like to go on and on and on.
Okay, back on track though. This story's ending really hit home for me. We get to see Isadora again as she's set to become Queen of the Dwarves, and in true Isadora fashion, she shows compassion toward the dragons. Really love that touch.
Another amazing story from Mary Ellen Brady.
I agree, my friend. In 4th place, we have Exile of Fire and Stone by TP Chaos.
Okay, now I know you're insane. TP Chaos won the Devine Challenge last year.
They did, but again, the competition here was insane this year. People have become really familiar with Devine and its lore. That means the top stories in our 3 here, they really dug deep and combined all the elements I was looking for in ways that not even I was expecting.
Fine, let's talk about Chaos.
Okay, well, as always, Chaos's writing is stunning. I mean, the opening line here says, "The Sunspire Mountains rose like a crown of broken gold, their peaks catching dawn and turning it into fire." I mean, come on. That's beautiful writing.
Indeed, and quite accurate, may I add. The Sunspire Mountains are truly a sight to behold.
Soon, the action hits and Chaos doesn't hold back. It has sharp imagery, fast pacing, and big, bombastic moments that hit you like a 1-2 punch. My favorite line is from later in the story where a character asks, "Why save me?" And Chaos writes, "Because extinction grows tedious. Because an ending chosen by others tastes bitter across centuries." I mean, beautiful work. Finton, what'd you think of this one?
It's stunning writing and great use of the lore, but I understand where you're coming from. The stories here are scored on several criteria, and even though Chaos brought their A-game as always, that's true of all the entries. So I'll give you this one, Bradley.
Ever the diplomat, Finton, thank you. All right, and for the top 3 stories, I'll be diving a little deeper and reading excerpts from each. Third place here will have their story added to Devine lore, where it will be mentioned in future works as it makes sense. So all that being said, our third place winner in the 2026 Devine Challenge is The Pride of Dwarves by Daniel Coates. Finton, did you finish reading this one?
One moment, I'm about to reach the end. Oh my goodness, the detail in this piece is astounding.
It's true, Daniel really immersed himself into the culture and lore of the dwarves in this story, and not only that, but he expanded upon it in meaningful ways. The way the dwarves sing, the cadence of the lyrics, and the way he shows the pride they take in their work, all combine to make this one of the most accurate depictions of Devine's dwarves that even I can possibly imagine.
He even got the dwarven lifespans right. That's not easy to do. It's very confusing.
Precisely. Daniel's attention to detail here was spectacular, and the final moments were a roller coaster that had me on the edge of my seat. It is a standout Devine story, so let's check out an excerpt.
Beric watched as the dragon carefully extricated something. He assumed fossilized eggs from the ruins of the camp. Then it put the objects into a tent that it turned into a makeshift bag. It held the bag between its wings, then lumbered towards the cave entrance, towards him. He stayed perfectly still, not allowing himself to even breathe. The dragon stopped as it was right next to him. He heard it sniff the air. Then a large eye swung into view right in front of him. He covered his head and cried, "Please don't eat me!" A voice entered his thoughts, smooth in timbre, but with a sharp edge. "Though you are but a child, you will one day be filled with the greed of your race. May you be spared the folly of your kind. Remember what you have seen here, dwarfling. We are not prizes to be had, and we are not to be trifled with."
Wow, chills. Thank you for reading, Finton. What'd you think of it?
The ending is the perfect balance of action, suspense, and a message for readers to take with them. Daniel is quite the storyteller. Any relation to the baker from the Tiny Tale earlier, by the way?
Yeah, same person. Daniel's indeed a baker. It was based on him.
Aha! A man of many talents, it seems. All right, let's go to second place.
All right, and with these last 2, it was really difficult to decide. Both of these final stories represent the pinnacle of what is possible in Devine, and I mean that. They are both easily better than anything I've done in the realm, and for that and many other reasons, it is an honor to talk about them here.
Yes, everyone is better than you. We get it. Just get on with it.
Okay, that's one way to put it. Our second place winner for the 2026 Devine Challenge is Anagnorisis by Verdant Butterfly. Finton, hey, are you okay?
No, I'm not. Have you read this story?
Yeah, that's why it's in second place.
Bradley, this is heartbreaking.
I know, bud. I know. Verdant Butterfly's story is one that throws you right into the action with some truly incredible imagery and action right off the bat. The stakes feel significant, the clash feels gritty and real, and the emotions hit all the way through. In a beautiful moment, we see a dragon save a young child in a way that defies everything the dwarves have been told. In this single moment, Verdant Butterfly shows how dragons are not bloodthirsty beasts. They are kind, empathetic, and capable of incredible courage. It's a story that left me in tears as well. A stunning combination of pristine writing and exceptional use of Devine lore. I am proud and humbled to know that this story is now a part of my universe. Let's check out an excerpt.
The bolt struck deep beneath the dragon's wing. The force drove the dragon sideways, ripping a cry from its throat that shook the quarry walls. Fire burst wild and uncontrolled, scorching the rock, then guttered out. The dragon collapsed. It did not loosen its coil. Thrain ran forward as the shouting died away. The dragon lay still now, its great body slack, smoke curling from rents torn by steel and iron. Warriors moved in with ropes and hooks, hauling at scale and limb to clear the field.
"Careful!"
Thrain yelled.
"There's a child!"
They did not hear him. Ropes tightened, the dragon's body shifted. As it rolled, the coil loosened. A small figure tumbled free. The child lay unharmed, soot-streaked, shaking, alive. He coughed and cried, scrambling away on hands and knees, until Thrain caught him and pulled him close. The quarry fell silent, save the whispers passed among the soldiers. The dwarves stared at the dragon's fallen form, at the place where it had wrapped itself around a single, fragile life, at the marks along its side where old scars crossed newer wounds, layered from years of pursuit. No one spoke. Thrain knelt, one hand pressed against the child's back, the other against the warm scale at the dragon's side. The heat faded beneath his palm. Only then did the truth settle among them, heavy and final. This was not a monster driven by hunger and killing. This was a guardian. The banners still flew. The campaign would continue. Orders would be followed. History would move forward without pause. The dwarves had won the battle. Devine had lost something far greater.
Wow, thank you, Fenton. We had to show that ending. Apologies to all for spoilers, but I needed you to see why this story earned its spot here at nearly the top of the list. As part of this prize, Verdant Butterfly will be able to select a character from this story to make an appearance in a future Devine tale, or the Order of the Pawn where it makes sense. All right, are you ready for number 1? Fenton? Fenton?
No, Bradley, I'm not ready. I'm going to need at least 4 krona to recover from that one.
Well, we've got one more, Fenton, and trust me, you're going to want to see this one. In first place, and the winner of the 2026 Devine Challenge, it's Tourney of Fates by Mina Howell.
By the Titans, the Mina Howell! You're serious?
That's right, Fenton. She nearly won the challenge last year, and this year she came for the crown. Mina is one of several people on Substack that I would consider Devine scholars, so I had very high expectations for her story this year, and it truly delivered.
I mean, if you really think about it, she knows more about Devine than you do, I'd wager.
That's probably true. Her story here checked all the boxes. It goes deep into the lore. It pulls characters, locations, plot threads, not only from my work, but from her past Devine stories as well.
My, a lore tapestry, you might say.
Indeed, Fenton. And not only that, but Mina used this story to further continue the tale of a character she created for a prior Devine story known as the Stranger. The way she managed to move that plot forward on so many levels in adjacency with the rest of Devine's history was nothing short of mind-blowing.
Not only that, but she also did an introduction that perfectly captured my voice.
Yes, Mina's attention to detail across this entire story and all of its elements is a huge strength here. She wrote this precisely in the same manner that I would a standalone Devine tale. You could swap the names of the authors around and I don't think anyone would notice.
Well, to be fair, I'm sure some people would wonder how you suddenly got better at writing.
That's true, Fenton. Mina's writing continues to become more and more impressive as time goes on, and she really brought her A-game here. So it is truly an honor and a privilege to have someone this talented writing a Devine story, and what is now officially a Devine tale.
And again, I must stress, it is our world. Thank you very much.
Right, sorry, Fenton. Yes, our world. Okay, let's check out an excerpt from the winner.
The stranger was the first to break the stalemate as he drew his sword and laid it on the ground. "I did not come to hurt you." Silana blinked slowly as she watched the stranger back away from his sword. "Why have you come then? Are you not part of the plot to destroy us?" Silana's words flooded the stranger's mind. "I want to save you. I see the truth hidden behind the king's words," the stranger announced. "I will not stand for your execution." Sensing only truth in his words, hundreds of dragons emerged from the shadows. The stranger could see the sadness in the eyes of the dragons, for surely they had felt every one of their brethren's lives as they were snuffed out by the men of the kingdom. "How will you save us then?" Vritrax asked sharply. Without so much as a word, the stranger began to draw symbols in the air with his fingers. On the third rotation, light began to follow the path his fingers took, until the symbol was fully drawn in the air. With a clap of his hands, the air swirled around him, opening a portal, one large enough to allow the dragons passage to a new realm.
Absolutely amazing. Truly incredible work.
I agree, it is well deserving of the grand prize. And speaking of grand prizes, I believe you mentioned that I'll be narrating the winning story here. Not only that, but it will be crowned as an official Devine tale.
That's correct, Finton, and I'm even going to link to it in my content directory in the Devine Tales section, further solidifying it as part of the canon.
Oh my, serious stuff, I must say. I'm quite excited to try my hand at reading this one in full.
I look forward to it as well. All right, my friends, that brings us to the end of this special midweek podcast episode, and the end of the 2026 Devine Challenge. Of course, Flash Fiction February is still ongoing, so stay tuned for another episode of Saved as Draft this Friday, where I'll be breaking down the Week 3 top stories in each bracket. In the meantime, thank you to everyone again who submitted stories to Devine. Finton and I loved reading them all. And again, let's give a huge round of applause to our 3 winners as well. Daniel Coates in 3rd place, Verdant Butterfly in 2nd, and the grand prize winner herself, Mina Howell. I never expected Devine to find an audience like this, let alone fans who take so much care in writing for the world. It is a humbling and beautiful experience every time I open up a prompt inside of Devine. So thank you again, everyone. Any last thoughts, Finton?
I seem to be overwhelmed with emotions at the moment. I love you all. I'm gonna go give Zaya a hug now.
You'll be alright. Thanks again, everyone. This is Bradley Ramsey and Finton Marybrook, signing off.